that whole consumption story, which I keep coming back to, it's been the cornerstone of India's success with both FDI and foreign institutional investors. We need to build upon that, but what stops us is inflation. And the minute inflation comes in the way, we tend to sort of lose our ground on what we're doing with the consumption story. What could be a game changer for it?
As I keep saying, you've got to build a supply side. This whole supply-induced inflation, there is no shortcut to this. You've got to build the capacity, whether it's education, as you mentioned, or it's skilling, or it's infrastructure, whatever you. So we've got a long way to go in terms of building the capacity side.
But do you think our policymakers are a bit clueless because the numbers are too big?
I think they know everything. Look, they're very smart. But I think they're just constrained in terms of, picking up the pace on these issues. And they're constrained for the reasons that you and I know, which is really the political consensus is not there.
But, you talked about this whole political situation where we're looking to build consensus. We're finding it hard. We're talking essentially of a 6-month window because we're already moving into election cycle. Next year, we're going to have one budget, likely to be a populist one. The following will be a vote on account because 2014 are elections. Hopefully before that, we won't have them. But the point is, if we don't act in the next 6 months, we've quite missed the bus entirely.
I think, with the whole consensus, if it builds around between the opposition parties, the ruling party, within the ruling party, I think then the 6-month window argument may or may not even hold, because I think people will realize you need to get things done, so let's get on with it.
But is coalition politics really what is against the growth story?
I don't know much about the politics. I just think that strong, determined leadership can get a lot done. And, a lot of our things that need to be approved today are not necessarily, they have to go to the parliament. A lot of them can be, executed and signed off. So I think we just need to get on with it, and I think strong, determined leadership with a high degree of conviction, what needs to be done. I don't think anybody will come in the way. That's my sense. Again, look, I'm not a politician, but I just have a funny feeling that there's such a consensus in India today that good things are signed off and gotten on with it. I really wonder who will come and stop it here.
This economic pressure around, how does it have an impact on leadership in general? Because you've got crisis, there's a job market which is extremely volatile suddenly, growth targets are slowing and reducing, consumption story is a bit inflated. How hard does it become for a leader in any field in the country today to actually grapple with all of this?
No, it's quite difficult. Look, first and foremost, you got to keep your people charged up and you got to make sure that they stay focused and not, get disillusioned. I think just talking of the India story as a long-term story all the time also becomes a bit of a, passe, the same thing again and again.
So people stop believing you after a point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking of your internal, I'm sure you're referring to an internal organization.
Yes.
So I think what you got to keep focus on in these times is to look for opportunities for growth, if you've got the cash. And you're seeing moves like what the Birla Group just made on retail. I think that's a great move. I mean, I can imagine his retail firm must be so excited that they've made a move in a time like this. So that helps. We recently did something with Dalmia Cement, one of our investee companies, is doing something in terms of cement acquisition. So people, those who have cash and a clear strategy, I think now is a great time to sort of lead from the front. And finally, I think, very important in India is that everybody's got to be very focused on their costs, revenues, market shares, keeping a close eye on productivity.
Because if our value edge has to stay, the costs have to come down.
Which frankly a lot of us lost in the good years, 06 through even 08 and 09, and thought we recovered the fastest. But if the companies don't stay competitive, don't have an eye on margins, don't have a clear eye on market share, then it can be quite a problem. And I think IT companies are doing a great job on that front. I think some of the consumer companies are doing a fabulous job.
To keep the business on course, that's really the motto.
Make it much tighter.
That gives me a quick chance then, Sanjay, to ask you about golf on the Rapid Fire show. One course that you want to play but haven't.
Pebble Beach.
Where do you see your handicap going in next 2 years?
Probably staying flat. I don't even know what the number is, by the way. So,
Playing for money, playing for fun?
play for money.
Play for money?
Yeah, why not?
Golf or tennis?
Tennis.
Banker is a good word or bad?
Still a good word.
Private equity or banking?
Private equity.
Thanks for joining us. Good to have you.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jeev Milkha. One of the most dreaded things in golf are missing short putts. And one of the main reasons of missing short putts is that we kind of de-accelerate the shoulder action through the putting stroke. So when you're on short putts, the work basically is the work of your shoulders. And when we go to the smaller putts, we end up just stopping on the ball and letting the hands do the work. A good drill to help you get the shoulders going is to take a putter, place it right behind the ball, touching the ball, and try to feel that you are pushing this ball towards the hole. This helps you move the shoulders. You could do the same thing by actually trying to move only your putter head, and in that case you will end up either pushing it or pulling it. So if you practice short putts, just pushing the ball towards the hole, and then after that make a small backswing and feel the shoulders do the same work. Make a small backswing and feel the shoulders still pushing towards the hole. Once you do this, you will find that your short putts will get better.